Have you ever wondered what it's really like to sail to other countries? To dive amazing locations and explore the world on a yacht? Then come with us. You're joining us tonight in the Savusavu group in Tonga. One of the cleat, I guess you'd call it, on the bow here, which we use for the spinnaker block, is a bit loose. Denise or I, not sure who, one of us is going to get in there and tighten it.
Up here it's me. So these are the slightly loose bolts. Just need to be tightened. So, nicely secured. It was very loose, it was finger loose. And it's cleaned out in there now, which actually I've wanted to do for a long time.
And this little guy is now rock solid. So we can remove this little emergency block that we put on in case it let go when we're at sea. We had to pull into the wharf in order to be able to check out of Tonga.
You're gonna come here, or you're gonna go there? What are you gonna do?
David, we'll just go there.
Okay.
Are you happy with that, David?
Yep.
Give it some.
Let's tie up. Do you mind if we tie up to your boat? No. Go to Arabella.
Okay. Alright, can we still put out more fenders?
Well, I've got two.
As I said, I look forward to taking a new tender with me when I leave. You don't want fuel, right?
No.
No.
What are you doing here then?
Checking out.
You have to come to the dock and check out.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's what they said.
The wind's going to be blowing us off, which is a bit tricky.
Yeah, it's going to be a bit tricky. I'll take a stern line and use your engines to bring you in.
Okay. Thanks very much, Grant, for helping us out.
No worries.
This will look a bit unorthodox, but cats can do
Oh,
these
it's
things.
okay. It's going to work. You're going to go forward, don't
We'll go forward.
It's Apple, and that's my wife, Delphine.
It's not ours either.
Gonna go forward a bit more, Jamie, or not?
Yeah, we can do. Yeah.
You want to go forward more?
Whatever suits you guys, really.
I think that's fine, just there.
That's pretty
Yeah,
good.
and the wind should actually hold us off. So.
Exactly. Don't make it too tight there, darling. Nice and a little bit loose.
Yep. See you on the water.
20 minutes later, we were all checked out.
Thank you.
Thank you, bye. Well, that went remarkably smoothly. So it's goodbye to Tonga. Time to whack on some sunscreen. Okay. We want to get to Savusavu. Go to waypoint, not engage pilot. Time to sail to Fiji. Once we get a GPS signal, it will work out exactly how far, which should be about 400 nautical miles. Which will take about 3.5 days.
Get them away. Just a little tiny fuel top up before we head out to the open ocean, where it's nice and calm in here. And then just pretty much straight line it to Fiji. The weather looks great. Famous last words. Looking out for one last chance of seeing a whale, but they, I guess they're not here yet.
Flag down time. Well, for the second time in a month, I need to swap over the sister clips. This time from the Tongan flag over to the Fiji flag. Cut off our little zip ties I know I mentioned this only a few episodes ago, but these are little sister clips, and they've got that little gap where as long as they go together like so, they'll lock but they won't come apart otherwise. They're really pretty cool. Alright, let's get these on here. If you use a razor blade, you can just carefully cut these flush anytime you use a zip tie, and then you don't get those sharp edges that tend to cut you anytime you brush against them. So we've got our Fiji flag and our quarantine flag all good to go.
Not for today.
Not for today, for 3 days, 4 days from now.
Yeah, so I've just gone to turn the radar on, and it can't see the radar for some reason, which is strange. So we're going to turn all the, normally you can just hit that, it goes to transmit. That is not an option, so I'm going to go and turn everything off and see if it reboots. Otherwise we need to get that manual out.
Turn it off, turn it back on. The radar transmits its information via Wi-Fi to the Ray Marine head unit.
So the reset worked, and the radar is now talking to the boat, which is good. Good to go.
How are we looking from a angle perspective?
Yeah, really good. I think we're pretty much still pointing straight at Fiji. And speed's good. 6.5, 7. We'll take that, won't we?
Yeah, absolutely. 7 knots, we'll be there a day earlier if we can keep that up. Spinnaker's doing a great job. That would make for a very fast and comfortable passage. Not hold my breath though, but we are meant to have consistent winds, aren't we, from the southeast, and when you're heading northwest, that's a perfect scenario. Denise is not feeling very well. She was really quite unwell last night before we left. And although she perked up this morning because I said we could always delay our departure, she's really gone downhill a bit, I think. Time for my usual look around. We try and do it every 15 minutes and it's just after the hour. Red sky night, sailor's delight. This is night 1 from Tonga to Fiji, and I don't know what it is with us and weather. We're meant to be having 15 knots, running with it, which means, you know, if you're doing, let's say 6 or 7 knots, then you have an apparent wind of 8. And we've been having a solid 20, 22. I mean, even now, have a look at this. That's the lowest winds we've seen all day. Poor old Denise is wrecked. I mean, she was unwell from some food-related thing prior to us starting this trip. And she's had no sleep, even when she's been off shift. She's absolutely wrecked. I actually feel a bit guilty when it's this bad, and when she's feeling terrible. Not that I've forced her into it, but willing participant. We've done this for years, but I think we're both pretty close to calling it a day. I think we're just over it. You know, you make massive sacrifices, you affect or potentially ruin your career, and you sell up everything in order to pay for it. so you go backwards financially. And you know, that was okay when the balance was reasonable, where you had, you know, as many of the highs as you did the lows. So although it was a bit of a bipolar lifestyle, the highs were sufficiently high and common enough that it would outweigh the lows. But we've really just had now a year and a half where we've been biding our time, dealing with bad weather, fixing stuff, spending money, and just going backwards and not having the highs. You know, just not enough of them. Just not enough to warrant the whole life of living on a boat. And to make matters a little bit worse, when you're doing a passage, if there's moonlight and you can actually see a bit, it actually makes things a bit better. But when you have a rain squall came through, which did for Denise, it was absolutely pissing with rain. Pitch black because there's no moon tonight. The sky's clearing a little bit, but again, it's just yeah, coffee's good. Really good. Well, it's day 2. We've still got reasonable following sea. Still bloody raining. I've got an hour of sleep this morning. Just sent Denise down to try and get some sleep. So hopefully she gets some rest. But on the bright side, you know, it's only another, I don't know, 280 nautical miles or something like that. It's not that far. Meantime, enjoy my coffee. Have a look at the complete shit weather that we're having to deal with yet again. Absolutely pissing the rain. So the forecast was no rain and 13 to 16 knots, mainly about 14, 15.
Day 3, we had hoped, on our passage to Fiji from Tonga, we had hoped to not have to do another night, but it's not going to be the case. I have been absent from filming on this passage because I have felt so appallingly bad. So I had what I would consider a bit of like a barley belly the morning before we left Tonga. I was calling it a Tonga tummy. Just really violently unwell. I won't go into the details. And that sort of lingered up until last night where I was dry reaching, I had a fucking headache and I don't know. Anyway, today I've come good and we are in sight of Fiji, but that is all part of the Lao group and we can't stop and check in at the Lao group. We need to go to Savusavu on Vanalevu, which is the big island. And we are 83 nautical miles away from there. We've just put 40 litres of fuel in both tanks because we have been running the engines a bit today for movement, but the last couple of days it's been so overcast and rainy that we've had to run the engines for 6 or 7 hours just for electricity, which is unusual for us. And yet again today, no sunlight. Jamie's down here. How was lunch?
Lunch was good. Yeah, nice little fried rice you cooked up. Just gonna put the Fijian quarantine flag up.
There they go.
Done.
Just make out the tip of tabby.
Yeah, a bit of rain out there, isn't there?
So we get to Savusavu on the 15th tomorrow, and then a couple of days of reprovisioning and doing boat jobs, and then we can slowly work our way around to Vitilevu, and Nandi and Denarau, which is where Kobe is coming, and we've got 2 weeks to do 150 nautical miles, which is nothing. So it's little day hops, and hopefully find some stuff to do along the way and have some weather that's nice, and some snorkeling and maybe even some diving. It's well earned, I think. See some actual fish and coral reef.
On the boat jobs front, you want to fix the reefing line? We're going to try and do that before they come?
Very low enthusiasm for doing any jobs at the moment. Maybe. Don't know.
But we can definitely fix the stern light. That port sugar scoop, I can fix that. Fix one of the super yacht lights. AIS connection of VHF antenna, that's going to have to wait. Spinnaker rip, that's going to need a sail making somewhere. But we can probably knock most of that off pretty quickly, I would have thought.
Tonight's meal was brought to you by Denise's pre-packaged passage meals. So I made this in New Zealand for the New Zealand to Tonga passage, but we didn't need it because we had some nice days of weather. So rather than having to cook for this little passage for 3 days, I had enough meals left. So this is Singapore noodles with chicken for me, Singapore rice for Jamie, because I like noodles and Jamie likes rice. And I've decanted them to Tupperware containers. So I have to take them downstairs to microwave them, and this is much safer than putting them into bowls. No burny hands. Turn it on, shall we?
As you probably saw, for longer passages, we actually put the microwave, which sits in this berth that we call Denise's changing room. We actually put the microwave up near the coffee machine, but this was only 3 nights, 3 days, so it's a heavy bloody thing to move.
It's all the classy dinnerware. The non-slip placemat and the plastic container.
Well, it's our 3rd night now, Wednesday night, and we're coming into Savusavu. Still about 7 or 8 nautical miles to go. When you're coming into an anchorage or a port at night and there's a limited amount of lights, tonight there's no moon at all and it's been drizzling with rain, it's really disorientating. You know, we're trying to use our coastal navigation skills, you know, angles to flashing beacon lights and stuff like that, in addition to obviously what the chart plotter and GPS is telling us. But yeah, it's a very, very dark night. It's not particularly windy though, which is good. So we're going to round this point and then we will head along, then looking for what is essentially an inlet, and then from there we'll try and find a mooring buoy and tie up for the night. So I think we'll probably be tied up by about 4 a.m. is the current plan.
We've hooked up to a mooring buoy, and yeah, we're safe. Thumbs up. We're pretty close to that ledge though, Jamie, which is 0.6.
I mean, we're now tied up. It's about all we can really do, considering it's, what is it, 4 in the morning.
Yeah.
There's a bit of current through here and wind. And this is what we've secured. Just managed to get some rope through this mooring line Anyway, that's going to do until morning.
High tides now, which is 1.6. At 7 a.m, at which point we should well and truly be awake, I would have thought. It'll be 1.2 metres, which is what we draw, and that's 0.6 next to us, so it makes it 1.8. So
Depth is 13 at the moment?
Depth is 13 here though, so
Right.
that should be fine though. That's still, even if we did swing over there, that should be fine.
Alright, engine's off.
Yeah.
Let's get dry.
By the beauty that surrounds us. Here's your Savusavu weather.
She says that a lot.
We're expecting a high of 26 degrees Celsius, and as you probably can already tell, the skies are looking pretty cloudy today, and we're expecting showers throughout the day. So keep your umbrellas handy. Just a quick reminder of the exceptional services available here at the Copper Shed.
It rains a lot in Savusavu. She's got that down pat. No, just waiting for the dockmaster to come and get us, but he was going to wait for the rain to ease off a bit. We could be waiting a while. Meanwhile, I'm going to drink my first coffee of 4 days and try and get rid of my headache, which was starting to feel like a migraine this morning. Jamie, please tell me.
It was both funny and nice. Someone came by on the boat. I'm not sure which marina he was from, but you know, compared to the sort of very sedate greetings you could pretty well get everyone else, everywhere else, it was "Bola, good morning," or it would be "good morning" if it wasn't for the rain. You know. So yes, very nice in that regard to be back in Fiji, which is, in my view, the friendliest country in the world.
Copper Shed Marina, this is Lukimyu. Bulla.
Hello. Change of plans. There's a lot of rain, a lot of wind, and I think it's safe that we clear you on the mooring, and once the wind dies down, then we can get you to the dock. Is that okay with you? Over.
Yeah, that's fine. Over.
Copy that. We've just one more question. Your last port of entry. Over.
Naifu, Tonga. Over.
Copy that, Tonga. We'll let the authorities know that you arrived, and once they make it here to the marina, I'll bring them on our dinghy. Over.
Thank you very much. Vinaka. Over.
Inaka, standing by on 16.
Standing by on 16. Over. More rain coming, clearly. That's all right. We can wait here. That was Department from Health, let's call it. A little bit COVID-y and just about disease in general. And so we now have the certificate of pratique.
They said we can pull down the quarantine flag, which I find interesting because customs haven't been on board, but they said it's okay now, so it's coming down in the rain.
Right. There goes biosecurity, immigration, customs, etc., etc., etc. We often say, mostly to each other, that cruising is really bipolar. It's either spectacularly, amazingly good, or so bad you want to sell the boat or just give it away and get off it. So as an example, 12 hours ago, we were in the pissing rain, having done a 3-day sail, trying to pick up a mooring buoy that was covered in shells, and we were covered in shellfish smells, and we were dripping wet. 4 a.m. 4 p.m, we're drinking French champagne in a beautiful marina, which was unexpected, having had showers, put on clean clothes, we've got some French cheese. That's it in a nutshell, except sometimes the percentages are 1% fun, 99% shit. Today it's 50-50. It's probably better than we've had in the last couple of years, actually. We are here, finally, in our beloved Fiji. I almost thought it would never happen. And well-deserved congratulatory drinks again for country number 10.
It's only taken us 5.5 years to get to Fiji. I'm sure there are more direct flights.
Cheers. I think there are easier ways to get a glass of champagne.
Join us next week as we show you how to reprovision in the Savusavu markets
Best ones we've seen for a while.
before completing some boat maintenance
Head in a bit.
and sailing to the remote Makagai Island to dive. Please give us a thumbs up, subscribe, and place a comment below.